Most people think freedom is a reward waiting at the end of the struggle. But the truth is, freedom is forged in the fires of focus. When you block out the noise, silence your doubts, and direct your energy with ruthless clarity, in a world of endless distraction, real liberation comes not from running, but from locking in. Today, discover how the discipline to focus isn't a sacrifice, but the ultimate act of self-respect. Because when you master your focus, you don't just chase freedom, you create it. The world is noisier than ever. Every day, you wake up and the first thing that greets you isn't the sunrise or a gentle breeze. It's a glowing screen demanding your attention. Notifications light up your phone like fireworks, emails, messages, headlines, reminders, updates. Each one pulls at you, tugging your mind in a dozen directions before your feet even touch the floor. You move through your morning routine, but your mind is already split, half listening to a podcast, half thinking about the day ahead, half scrolling through social media, all before you finished your first cup of coffee. There's barely a moment of silence, a second to breathe, before you're swept into the current of demands of work deadlines, family responsibilities, bills, plans, goals, worries. By the time you're fully awake, you're already exhausted. It's easy to believe that this is just how life works now, fragmented, fast, scattered. People talk about multitasking as a badge of honor, about hustle culture, and staying plugged in as if the only way to succeed is to chase everything at once. But deep down, you know something is missing. There's an ache for more than just business, a longing for meaning, for progress, for freedom from the endless pull of everything and nothing. That's where the power of focus comes in. Think back to a time when you lost yourself in something you loved. Maybe it was painting, writing, solving a tough problem at work, running until your legs burn, or simply sitting with a loved one and listening with your whole heart. In those moments, nothing else mattered. The noise faded away. Time seemed to stretch or disappear. You were fully alive, present, engaged, free. But these moments are rare in today's world, not because we lack passion or purpose, but because we're surrounded by distraction. The culture around us doesn't value focus. It values attention, and attention is always for sale. Companies, apps, even people compete for a piece of your mind. The result, your energy is scattered, your dreams get diluted, and you find yourself moving, but never really arriving. For so many, the longing for freedom, the freedom to create, to succeed, to become, feels out of reach. It's easy to blame circumstances, to think, I'd be free if only I had more time, more money, more support. But what if freedom isn't something you chase, but something you build, one focused action at a time? This idea is more than motivational fluff. It's grounded in the stories of real people. Look closely at those who seem truly free, not the ones with the fanciest cars or the most followers, but those who live with purpose, dignity, and peace. Almost always you'll find that their freedom was earned through focus. They learned to say no to distractions, to guard their attention like it was gold, to choose depth over surface and meaning over noise. Consider the story of Eric Thomas, whose voice has inspired millions, not because he started out with more talent or opportunity, but because he discovered the liberating power of focus. When he was homeless, hungry, and overlooked, the world offered him 1,000 reasons to give up, but he chose a different path. He locked in on his goals, blocked out the doubters and the distractions, and gave every ounce of energy to his vision. The result wasn't just success, it was freedom. The kind of freedom that lets you wake up every morning knowing who you are and what you're called to do. But this is not just about public success or motivational slogans. It's about your life, your dreams, your work, your relationships. It's about reclaiming your mind from the world's noise and using your focus to create a life that is truly yours. Imagine what you could do if you weren't constantly pulled away by what doesn't matter. Imagine how your work would change if you could give it your full attention, how your relationships would deepen if you could be fully present, how your confidence would grow if you kept your promises to yourself. Focus isn't a magic trick. It's a practice, a discipline that anyone can learn, but few choose. It's saying yes to what matters and 1,000 quiet no's to what doesn't. It's about building boundaries, protecting your time, and learning to sit with discomfort rather than run to the next distraction. It's about setting a goal and moving toward it, one deliberate step at a time, even when the world screams for your attention. There will always be resistance, inside and out. You'll battle your own doubts, your habits, your fears. The world will keep sending invitations to drift, to quit, to scatter your energy. But every day you choose to focus, you take back a little more freedom. You show yourself and everyone watching that you are more than your circumstances. You are the author of your life. This is a journey, not a destination. Some days, focus comes easy. Other days, it's a battle. But every time you choose to tune out the noise and lock in on your purpose, you build the kind of freedom that can't be taken away. The freedom to create, to connect, to live with meaning. This is the central theme. Focus creates freedom. In a world designed to distract you, your ability to choose your focus is your greatest power. It's how you build a life you respect, how you reach your goals, how you rise above circumstances and claim what's truly yours. Focus is the quiet strength behind every breakthrough, every comeback, every moment of transformation. You are not powerless in the face of noise. You are not a victim of distraction. With every choice, every moment of clarity, you move closer to the life you want, the life only you can build. That is the promise of focus and the freedom it brings. Focus sounds simple. Just pay attention to what matters. But for most people, it's an invisible war. You wake up determined, convinced this will be the day you finally get it right. Your to-do list is set, your priorities clear. You've promised yourself you'll block out distractions, lock in, and move the needle on what matters. But the moment you start, life begins to unravel your intentions. First is small things, a message from a friend, an email flagged as urgent, a child or sibling who needs your attention for something quick. Each one seems harmless, easy to handle. But as the interruptions pile up, your plan begins to fracture. 10 minutes here, 15 there. Suddenly the morning is gone, and you haven't touched your most important work. You try to reset, determined to reclaim the day. But the phone buzzes again, social media beckons. The headlines tempt you with outrage and curiosity. There's a pull to check, to scroll, to see what's new. You rationalize just 5 minutes. But minutes become an hour, and guilt creeps in. It's not just the outside world that distracts you. Inside, there's another quieter resistance. Doubts echo in your mind. Are you even capable of this? The deeper the work, the louder the doubts. You remember failures, unfinished projects, broken resolutions, promises you didn't keep. A voice whispers, why bother? You never follow through. You try to ignore it, but every lapse in focus feels like proof that it's right. You push on, determined to fight. You put your phone in another room, close your email, tell yourself, now I'll focus. For a while, you get traction. But soon, a new resistance appears, discomfort. Focus, real focus, is not comfortable. It demands you sit with hard problems, wrestle with uncertainty, endure the slow progress that comes with doing anything meaningful. You long for escape, a snack, a break, a hit of dopamine. The world is happy to oblige. Society rarely helps. Everywhere you turn, the culture rewards urgency, business, constant availability. You see colleagues rewarded for answering emails at midnight, friends praised for hustling at the expense of their health. At meetings, the loudest voices get the most attention, the flashiest ideas win, and those who work quietly in the background are overlooked. You start to wonder, is deep focus even possible? Or is it a myth, a luxury for people who don't have real responsibilities? Pressure builds not just to perform, but to perform constantly, to be available and responsive and on. You try to hold your boundaries, to say no to meetings that don't matter, to turn down invitations that would drain your energy. But guilt tugs at you. You fear being judged, being left out, being labeled as selfish or uncooperative. Sometimes you give in, sacrificing your focus for acceptance. Other times you resist, only to feel the sting of isolation. Failure is inevitable. You set ambitious goals but fall short. Projects take longer than planned. Distractions win. Sometimes you snap at loved ones, frustrated by your own lack of progress. You feel like you're letting everyone down, your boss, your family, yourself. The shame can be overwhelming. You begin to equate focus with perfection, believing that if you can't do it flawlessly, you shouldn't bother at all. But slowly, quietly, a different truth starts to emerge. Each time you lose focus, you have a choice. You can give in to self-doubt, or you can begin again. Each time you say no to a distraction, even for just 5 minutes, you build discipline. Each time you return to your task, despite discomfort or boredom, you strengthen your resolve. Progress is not measured in hours of perfect focus, but in the willingness to return again and again to what matters. You start to see the difference between forced discipline and true commitment. Discipline, you realize, is not about never slipping. It's about always coming back. Grit is not about being unmoved by a distraction, but about refusing to let distraction define you. The most successful people aren't immune to noise. They've just mastered the art of returning to their purpose, no matter how many times they're pulled away. Along the way, you confront moral choices. When do you put your own priorities first? And when do you serve others? Is it selfish to protect your focus? Or is it the only way to do your best work? You realize there are seasons, moments when loved ones need you, when flexibility matters more than rigidity. Other times, the highest respect you can show your family or your calling is to defend your boundaries fiercely, to model the value of concentrated effort. Your inner conflict shifts too. Where you once saw setbacks as failure, you begin to see them as training. Every interruption, every struggle to refocus is an opportunity to practice resilience. Every time you resist the urge to escape discomfort by scrolling, snacking, or seeking easy answers, you build the muscle of attention. You come to respect yourself not for being perfect, but for persisting. In moments of honesty, you recognize another truth. Some distractions are a form of avoidance. There are dreams you fear to pursue, work you fear to finish, because success would demand a new identity, a new level of responsibility, visibility, or vulnerability. Focus means facing these fears head on. It means risking failure, risking rejection, risking being seen as you really are. This is the deepest struggle, the one that cannot be solved by apps or planners or productivity hacks. Real freedom, you come to see, isn't the absence of demands or the promise of endless leisure. It's the ability to choose where you place your attention, to create meaning from the chaos, to pursue what matters even when it's hard. This freedom cannot be handed to you by anyone else. It must be claimed choice by choice, day by day. The conflict continues. Some days you lose, some days you win. But with every battle, you grow. You become someone who can focus, not perfectly, not always, but consistently enough to make a difference. You discover that focus is not a constraint, but a gift. It is the path to freedom. Not freedom from work, but freedom to do your best work. Not freedom from responsibility, but freedom to live with intention. Not freedom from the world's demands, but freedom to choose your response. You stand at a crossroads, not just once, but every day. The world will always offer more noise, more options, more reasons to scatter your energy. But you and only you can choose to focus. And in that choice, made again and again, you find your freedom, crafted, not found, earned, not given, lived, not imagined. That is the conflict, and that is the way forward. The moment doesn't arrive with fanfare. It comes quietly, almost unnoticed on a day like any other. You're sitting at your desk, shoulders tense, eyes scanning yet another list of unfinished tasks. The world outside buzzes, a neighbor's laughter, a dog barking, the relentless ping of your phone. Inside, you feel the familiar tug, check your messages, scroll for just a minute, do something, anything to escape this uncomfortable stillness. The urge is so strong it almost lifts you from your chair. But today, something inside you pauses. You notice the urge for what it is, not a command, but a habit. You catch the split-second choice. Run from the discomfort or lean in. This time, you choose to lean in. You turn your phone face down, take a breath, and let the urge pass like a cloud overhead. The craving for distraction softens. For the first time, you realize that you are not at the mercy of every impulse, every noise, every demand. You have a say. You have power. As the minutes pass, a strange quiet settles around you. At first, it feels unfamiliar, even a little lonely. But slowly, a clarity rises through the silence. Your mind, so used to scattering, gathers itself. Thoughts sharpen. The project in front of you, one you've been avoiding, becomes not a burden, but a challenge. You begin to work, not frantically, but with a new kind of energy. Time falls away. Each small step brings a sense of satisfaction, a momentum that builds not from speed, but from depth. This is the breakthrough you didn't know you were seeking. Focus is not a prison. It is a path. By narrowing your attention, you are not shutting out the world, but opening up a space where you can finally move, build, create. For the first time, you feel free. Not because the world's demands have lessened, but because you have claimed your right to choose what matters. A memory surfaces. Maybe it's from childhood, when you would lose yourself in play, hours slipping by in deep absorption. Back then, you didn't call it focus. You called it joy. You remember what it felt like to be fully present, unburdened by the need to prove, perform, or escape. Now, as an adult, the stakes are higher and the world is noisier. But the truth remains, focus brings you back to yourself. It returns you to the power and freedom that comes from deep engagement. You begin to notice how everything changes when you operate from this place. Tasks that once felt overwhelming are broken into pieces and tackled one by one. Conversations deepen because you're truly listening instead of thinking about your next reply. Even your rest becomes more nourishing because your mind is no longer tugged in 100 directions. Life feels less like a frantic race and more like a series of meaningful choices. With this realization comes a shift in identity. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance, a person who just can't focus. You see yourself as someone who can direct your attention, who can build the habits and boundaries necessary to protect what matters most. You understand now that every no to distraction is a yes. To your freedom, your growth, your deepest values. The world doesn't magically get quieter. Deadlines remain. Family needs you. Temptations are everywhere. But the biggest difference is inside you. When distractions arrive, you greet them with awareness. Sometimes you still fall for them. No one is perfect, but you recover faster. You remember that focus is a practice, not a performance. Every time you begin again, you get stronger. People around you begin to notice. Colleagues see your work deepening, your confidence growing. Friends comment on how present you are, how grounded your energy feels. Loved ones feel your attention and care, not scattered or divided, but fully theirs in each moment you give. You become an example, maybe quietly, maybe without realizing, for those around you who also crave freedom from the noise. And as the days unfold, the payoff multiplies. Projects move from ideas to reality. Goals that once felt impossible now inch closer, not through giant leaps, but through steady, focused steps. You start to trust yourself, your word, your will, your wisdom. You see that freedom was never something waiting for you at the end of the struggle. It was always hidden inside your ability to focus on what matters right here, right now. There will always be setbacks. There will always be days when the noise wins, when you drift or falter or fall. But now you know every moment is a new chance to begin again. Every act of focus is an act of self-respect, a declaration that your time, your energy, your life are valuable. The discipline to focus is not a sacrifice. It is the ultimate liberation. The power to choose your own path, to shape your own story, to live in the freedom you create. This is your turning point. The day you stopped chasing freedom and started building it one focused moment at a time. When the noise settles and the day draws to a close, you sit quietly and realize you are not the same person who once felt at the mercy of every distraction. A quiet strength lives within you, a strength you earned, not inherited, by choosing focus again and again, even when it was hard, even when it felt unnatural. The room is still, but there's a sense of momentum, a forward motion that's been building beneath the surface. You know now, with a clarity that is both humbling and empowering, that focus truly creates freedom. You reflect on what has changed, both inside and out. The world around you still asks for your attention in 1,000 ways, but you have learned to answer only what matters. You have learned to let go of the urge to prove yourself with constant business, of the anxiety that says you're missing out, of the expectation that you must be everything to everyone. You have traded frantic motion for deliberate movement, replaced the shallow comfort of multitasking with the deep satisfaction of meaningful progress. Your work is not just more productive, it's more purposeful. Every project, every conversation, every task becomes an act of respect, not only for yourself, but for those you serve. You show up fully with your mind and heart aligned, and people notice. Colleagues trust your word. Your family feels your presence. Your friends value your wisdom. You are building a reputation not for what you chase, but for what you complete, for the dignity and calm you bring to everything you do. In this season, your sense of worth shifts. You no longer see your value in how much you can cram into a day, but in the quality of your attention and the intention behind your choices. Each no to distraction is an act of self-worth. Each yes to focus is a step toward the life you want to build. The dignity you carry is not loud or showy. It's a quiet, steady current that grounds you, especially when the world feels uncertain. You also find yourself more compassionate with yourself and with others. When you stumble, you do not spiral into shame or self-judgment. You simply return with humility to your purpose. You understand now that everyone struggles with focus, that every person you meet is fighting their own battle with noise and expectation. This knowledge breeds authenticity in your relationships. You connect more deeply because you are present, Not trying to be perfect, just honest and attentive. Clarity has become your companion. Your goals are sharper. Your plans more flexible. Your boundaries kinder but firmer. When new opportunities or challenges arise, you pause and consider, does this align with who I am and what I value? Is this worth the investment of my time and focus? This isn't rigidity, it's wisdom. It's the understanding that you are the steward of your own energy and that life is too precious to be lived on autopilot. Respect for yourself, for your work, for others has become your standard. You offer it by listening fully, acting intentionally, and keeping your word. In a culture that often equates its self-worth with noise and speed, you choose the quieter path. You let your actions speak. You trust that lasting impact is built not in a single burst of inspiration, but in the daily discipline of attention, humility, and follow through. The world may not celebrate your focus with applause or recognition, but you carry an inner peace that cannot be bought or borrowed. This is the real reward. The knowledge that your life is being shaped moment by your own conscious choices. You feel renewal each morning, knowing that you do not have to earn your freedom from anyone else. You create every day with every act of focus, every time you honor your priorities and protect your purpose. As you look ahead, you do so with calm confidence. There will still be distractions, setbacks, moments of weakness, but you have learned that focus is not a trait, it is a practice. It is available to you in every season, no matter how noisy the world becomes. You have learned that the most powerful kind of freedom is not escape, but engagement, the ability to give your whole self to what matters most and to walk away from what does not serve you. This is the gift of focus, not just productivity, but peace, not just achievement, but authenticity, not just results, but renewal. You move forward with dignity, purpose, and a quiet pride in the life you are building, one focused choice at a time. And so, as another day closes, you sit in the calm you have created, ready to begin again tomorrow. The world will keep spinning, the noise will return, but you know now, beyond doubt, that your freedom was always within your grasp. All it ever required was the discipline to focus and the courage to choose your own path. Focus isn't just a skill, it's a daily act of courage and self-respect. In a world full of noise and endless demands, the freedom you crave starts with the discipline to choose what matters and gently let the rest go. Every time you reclaim your attention, you build a life rooted in clarity, dignity, and quiet power. Remember, real freedom isn't waiting at the finish line. It's found in each moment you give your best attention to your highest purpose. If today's message resonates with you, if you're ready to choose focus over distraction, to create your own freedom, and to build a life you respect, share the one word that captures your commitment right now. Is it focus, clarity, discipline, or perhaps freedom? Comment below with your word, and let's encourage each other to live with purpose and presence. Your story, your focus, and your freedom truly matter.